we're going to go over, and this first one has to do with weighted grades. So you're basically just going to take the grade categories and you're going to weight them. And you're going to do that by multiplying. Let's not get lazy. I was going to abbreviate, and then you're going to add the products. And then we're going to talk about this dividing step at the end that you sometimes have to do. We'll talk about it at the end. So I'm just going to take each one of these things and I'm going to multiply by the decimal. So 5% is 0.05. Because we want to know, you earn these points for each category, but each of the set of points that you earn is only worth whatever the weight is. So we don't want to say that we don't want to add up all these numbers and just divide by 5, because that would assume that these are all weighted equally. So the homework grade is only weighted that you earn 3 points. So basically a 20th of 60, so 5% of 60 is just 3 points. So your overall score, there's only 3 points that go from the homework grade. 75 times 0.35, so 35% of 75 is 26.25. A fifth, or 20% of 80, is 16. 70 times 15.15, 15% of 70. Is 10.5, and then 25% of 62 is 15.5. You're going to add those numbers together. And you're going to get, I think, 71.25. We're going to try that again. Make sure that's right. Okay, and so this will be the final grade that this person gets, and if you think about it, does that make sense? I mean, look. You got a D. It's not really weighted that much, but it's still a D. Another D on the final exam, which is weighted a quarter. And their highest grade was a project that was worth 20%, and it was only an 80. So it makes sense that these two, especially the project grade, and the final and the midterm grades are weighted the most. That's 60% of this person's grade, which is wild. And so you have the midterm and the final exam weighing heavier. The project was the highest grade, and it was barely a B. So this does make sense. Now, if this was a scenario where it was asking you, what is this person's average grade per category, which is something that we would never ask, but that just doesn't make sense. But then you would divide at the end by 5, but that just doesn't make sense. Like, that's not something that we would need to solve this problem, or like in the context of this problem, it's not something that makes sense. So in this case, if you divide each one of these by 100 to get the decimal form, then you're going to end up just with a grade at the end, a percentage grade at the end. Now, we have other questions that we can look at, and these do say per. So we know that there's a third step in the process where we are going to weight by multiplying. And this just really helps us avoid repeated addition. We're going to add the products, those answers we get from multiplying, and then we're going to divide by n. And n is 8 days per day. Okay, a new car salesperson sold an average of $28,000 per day for the first 5 days this person worked. So instead of listing this out, 28,000, 28,000, 28,000, which I'm doing for just to make a point. Like, I wouldn't want you to do this, okay? So instead of using percentages for the weight like we did for the grades, we're really just using the frequency for the weight. So we're doing 28,000 times 5. And we're doing 3 days times $42,000. So we'll do those. 28,000 times 5 is 140,000. And 42,000 times 3 is 126,000. Add those together. And that gets me 266,000. And this is the total. So this person said, it says, how much did she sell on average per day over the entire 8 days? Well, this is how much she sold over the 8 days. Total 8-day sales. So you know that you're going to take this total and you're going to divide by n. So we're going to do 266,000 divided by 8. And we get a number that is between 28,000 and 42,000, but it's closer to 28,000 because there were 5 days where she worked she sold $28,000, and there's only 3 days that she sold $42,000. So it makes sense that this number is in between the two values we were given, but also makes sense that this is weighted more frequent, so the average is closer to the category that is weighted the most. One more. Same thing. So you're going to multiply. Okay. You're going to weight the balance by the frequency by multiplying. You're going to add the products. And then we'll see if we have to divide. For the month of April, a checking account has a balance of $700 for 24 days, $1,215 for 2 days, and $375 for 4 days. Excuse me. What is the average balance for April? Meaning average per day. Because we don't want the total. If it said total, then we would just add up these two things and then we would be done and we would have the total money. That doesn't tell us anything. We want to know what the average balance is. So that means it's what's the average per day. On any given day, what is the average balance? So we're going to divide by n, and n is going to equal 30 because there's 30 days in April. And you can also add 24 plus 2 plus 4, which is 30. All right, so let's do the steps. 700 times 24 plus 1215 times 2 plus 375 times 4. All of that is going to be divided by n. Let's see what we get. Something's wrong. 700 times 24. 16,800. This is 2430. And this is 1,500 plus. So add all those together. Get 20,000 and change. And I divided by 30 and I got $691. So that's the average per day. On average, the average balance per day in April was $691.